Good morning. I hope you're having a great Sunday morning and doing well. So today we begin the book of Exodus. We leave the story of Genesis, creation, the patriarchs, the matriarchs, sibling rivalry, small little family with its quarrels, to the Jewish people as a nation, to the first exile, suffering, hatred, anti-Semitism. And the one who shines and becomes the person, the figurehead of the next 4 books is Moses, the greatest Jewish leader to ever live. Even greater than the patriarchs and matriarchs is Moses. No one spoke to God face to face as Moses did. And the Torah itself gives testimony to Moses' greatness. Well, it's interesting because we all know the story. And when Pharaoh decreed that all the Jewish little children would be thrown into the Nile River, the boys, and Yocheved, Moses' mother, was worried how long could she hide her baby. They're going to find out and take away her baby. And she put him in the basket. And she put him on the Nile River. And Pharaoh's daughter, Batya, finds this little Jewish child who she understands is a Jewish child who's been left. But Miriam, his sister, is looking from the side and she takes the child. But the child wouldn't nurse. And they brought the mother. For the next 2 years, Moses lived as Batya's daughter, but was being taken care of by his real mother, Yocheved, and she was the one that nursed him. And then the Torah tells us, Vayigdal hayeled, and the child became big. And Yocheved brought the child back to Pharaoh's daughter, and she became his son, and she named him Moses. And then the next verse says again, it became in those days, Vayigdal Moshe, and Moshe grew up, and he went out to his brothers, and he saw their suffering, and he saw an Egyptian hitting a Jew, and he stood up for his brother, and fought back against the Egyptian. But the question all the rabbis ask is, why does the Torah tell us twice he grew up? Once the Torah says he grew up, and they brought him to the house of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh, and he was a daughter to Batya, and the next thing that he grew up and he went out to his brothers. How many times can he grow up? Once, twice? What's going on here? So the simple meaning of the rabbi tells, well, the first time it means that he grew up, that he was able, didn't need to nurse anymore, so he didn't need Yocheved to nurse him, so he was able to go live with Pharaoh. The second time, it means he grew up, he became strong and big and independent, a big guy. The rabbis tell us something much deeper. What does the Torah tell us? That he grew up again and he became taller? The Torah is really giving us a little bit of a view, of an understanding of what it means to be great. You know, in Hebrew, the word gadol means a great man, a giant, a great woman, a giant. They're a gadol in Torah, etc. The Torah is really trying to tell us, yeah, you grow up, you become physically great and powerful, you're tall, you could throw hoops, you could play football, you could swim, you're athletic, you could get into the best colleges, you could be a great person physically, you could grow up, you don't have to nurse anymore, you're independent. But what's real greatness? What does it mean by Yigdal? What does the Torah tell us right when it wants to tell us that Moses grew? It's telling us that Moses grew spiritually. He grew as a giant, as a human being. Why? Because Vayetze Elechem, Moses went out to his brothers and sisters. Vayar b'sivloisam, he saw their suffering. He saw someone hitting a Jew just because he was a Jew. And what did he do? He fought back. He stood up for his brothers. The Torah is telling us something so important. You want to know what real greatness is? You want to know what it means to be a giant in Judaism? It's someone that goes out to his brothers and sisters. It's someone that's ready to stand up for the Jewish people. Sometimes we find success. We sit in our big, cozy, comfortable homes. We know what's going on in the streets. And we don't care. Or even worse, we don't know. We have brothers and sisters that are suffering. But we forget that we're one unit, we're one people. Tells us the Torah. You want to know the greatness of Moses? You want to know what made Moses the greatest Jewish leader? And why he's called a gadol, someone who grew up, who became great spiritually? Because he was able to be there for his brothers and sisters. It's such a simple but profound thought. And it's so important in the day and the age we live in, because the truth is that we live in an age that it's so comfortable to lose focus and lose sight of your brothers and sisters, to focus on your success, on your physical prowess, on your strength, on your school you go to, on your wealth you build, and to forget who you are, the family you come from, the people you are. So my friends, let us all learn from Moshe. Let us take a page out of Moshe's book. And let's be, by Yigdal, we should become great. What do we do by a bris? We say to a child, Zeh katon gadol yeh. This child should become great. Every child's going to become a leader. Every child's going to become great. The reality is that most don't. So what are we telling the child? What we're saying to the child is, Zeh katon, this small one, gadol yeh. He should become great spiritually like Moses. He should think and care about his brothers and sisters, about the Jewish people. He should go out to them. He shouldn't stay in his palace. He should see their pain and suffering. He should care. He should be empathetic. May Hashem give us that all of our children, our sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, should be like Moses and should be able to be intuitive and in tune to the suffering and the pain and the challenges of the brothers and sisters and be there to help, to lend a helping hand. God bless you. Have a great week ahead.